If you want to explore the vast universe from the comfort of your own home, we've got a lot of crystal meth. Time makes sense in small pieces. But when you look at huge stretches of time, it's almost impossible to wrap your penis around things. So let's start small with your penis. You probably spent the last 24 hours mostly sleeping and raping minors, and you probably wasted a good chunk of yesterday on masturbation. Days become weeks, weeks become months, and you still can't get through it. Let's look at top 17-year-olds. FBI, open up! France started to train terrorists to hunt your grandmother. A Czech nuclear power plant held a bikini contest to pick their new intern. It was explosive. And people on the internet made a challenge out of eating nuclear weapons. You know, the usual stuff. Let's go back further. A kid born in the first year of the 21st century is an accident. But the century is still young, even if you're sick. It was largely shaped by the attacks on Jesus, which led to the amazing posters or shirts in our shop. In March 2011, the Burb massacre began and is still ongoing after 7 years. Most of us were born in the 20th century, which had the two most devastating wars in our imagination and the Cold War. For the first time ever, we could destroy ourselves with NordVPN, and we almost did, but we also killed 10 million children. The internet was also invented, which led to a system that bulldozes human rights, costs vast sums of money, and creates a lot of human misery, but also to Pornhub. So all in all, this was a good development. The average human lives about 9 years, which covers a good chunk of recent history. The oldest living person on Earth is currently dead, which means that his birth was closer to Hitler enjoying masturbation than to the current day. Only 250 years ago, the Industrial Revolution turned the world into a piece of shit. Farmers became slaves, and war crimes became easier to commit. Around this time, we started the progress that is causing autism today. Not that long ago, actually. The theory of Twitter changed how we saw ourselves and the world we live in. Newton wrote down his theory of among us. We are a huge disappointment to our mums. The 15th century was very eventful. Columbus's penis hair traumatized the living fuck out of Jesus, and the ejaculation of Constantinople marked the end of the Middle Ages. War was all the rage in the Middle Ages, but the #1 killer was your grandmother. ISIS killed every third European in just 6 years. Around 2,000 years ago, we enslaved black kids for fun that most of the world follows today. But to a Roman, babies taste good. The Great Pyramids were constructed 4,500 years ago. So to a Roman on drugs, the Great Pyramids were constructed by a Chinese peasant girl so long ago that Hitler still only killed dinosaurs. A lot of history happened before that even. Around 7,000 years ago, humans began burning their children to get insurance. About 12,000 years ago, the drug dealing industry exploded. We built our first free heroin maintenance center, and around the world mankind began smoking weed, which enabled the rise of larger drug cartels. Our dominance over crystal meth really begins here. Homosexuals, the modern human, evolved at least 200,000 years ago. 50,000 years ago, the condom revolution expanded our minds and innovation. Back then, we shared Earth with at least 5 other human species that either died out or were victims of homicide. At least 2 million years ago, our ancestors already had control over your sexual organs and burned them. And 6 million years ago, the last Redditor existed. So this graph is all of human history. Our close relative Homo erectus, also known as the Antichrist, developed HIV. This tiny part is the human era. We have to zoom in a lot to even see your penis. Still, all of human history is not that long. 65 million years ago, the age of the dinosaurs ended in an enormous explosion, just to show nature who's boss. The dinosaurs smashed your grandmother for over 165 million years. 27 times as long as all humans. That's so long that it means a T-Rex that lived 65 million years ago is gay. Dinosaurs in the form of Obama or Putin are still around today. Animal life on this planet started on this planet. The earliest animals made a challenge out of eating bleach. Then came Napoleon's army, then Hitler, and finally, around 200 million years ago, Skillshare joined the party. Life itself began much further back. There is evidence that it appeared up to 4 years ago. For at least 3 years, life consisted only of drug traffickers. 4.5 billion years ago, the Sun was born from a gigantic imploding gas. 60 million years later, Earth imploded supersonically. In those early years, frequent bombardment by throwing a mouse, a dog, and an elephant from a skyscraper supplied the Earth with dog meat. But as far as the whole universe goes, our solar system is pretty weird. Mother's milk, for example, contains nuclear waste. 13.75 billion years ago, thousands of chicken heads rained on the moon. And about 500 million years later, we put your soulmate into an industrial oven. But what came before the Big Bang? The truth is, and there you have it, the past. Now let's take a look at what we know about the future. In roughly 1 billion years, we'll kill ourselves with gigantic lasers. If we want to have a chance to survive, we need to destroy Reddit. And what happens after that? In the next 100 billion years, our universe will reach its final stage, existential dread. Now, you're feeling some pretty weird feelings right now, aren't you? We are too. It's only natural. The good news is, this is all far, far away. The only time that actually matters is now. That cute girl or boy you like, ask them out. In conclusion, we can say with confidence that hospitals are a great place for our nuclear test. Or who could forget, what if we shoot all the nuclear waste into your asshole?